Life as a hotel manager isn't just about handling reservations and room service. It's about keeping calm when everything around you seems like chaos. I'm Erica, I'm 32, and I've dealt with all kinds of demanding guests, but this guy, he really stood out. He walked into the hotel wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly salary, constantly fiddling with his expensive phone. At first glance, he seemed like another rich guest, but then came the complaint. He stormed into the lobby, furious that his room wasn't cleaned properly, something about the towels. He seemed ready to explode at anyone who crossed his path. That's when I stepped in. "Sir, I understand you're upset. Allow me to take care of this for you," I said, maintaining a calm and professional tone. He seemed surprised, maybe because I wasn't immediately apologizing profusely. I sent someone to his room with clean towels and an apology. Problem solved. When he returned later, he was calmer. "You handled that well," he said with a small gesture of approval. "Thank you. Our goal is to please," I replied with a smile. That's when we started talking. His name was Logan, and he wasn't just a businessman. Turns out, he was a cryptocurrency investor or something. He told me he'd made a fortune and was now traveling the world. I listened, nodding, thinking it was typical rich guy talk. The next day, before leaving the city tour, he surprised me. He appeared at the reception with a small bouquet of flowers. "To make up for yesterday's chaos," he said as he handed them to me. I laughed as I took the flowers. "Are you trying to make me blush or what?" "Maybe," he replied with a charming smile. From then on, it became a sort of routine. Every morning for the next few days, I'd find a small bouquet waiting for me at the desk. They weren't fancy flowers, but they were a thoughtful touch, and it was a pleasant change to my daily routine. Then came the day he had to leave. With his suitcase in hand and his usual calm demeanor, he approached me one last time. He looked me directly in the eyes and asked, "Can I have your number?" I gave him my number without much thought, but then something strange happened. I missed him. I missed our little chats and the bouquets he'd leave every morning. It was strange because I'm not usually like that. A few days later, my phone rang. It was him. "Hey Erica, how about dinner? I owe you one for the amazing service, and I don't think the flowers were enough," he said. I felt my heart start to beat faster than expected. "Sure, dinner with Logan sounds great." "Fantastic. I'll pick you up at 9, he replied. "Yes, see you," I answered and hung up. I stared at my phone and thought, what am I getting myself into? Was it just a casual dinner, or something more? I wasn't sure, but I was definitely looking forward to seeing him again. Right at 9 o'clock, Logan arrived as promised. He wasn't driving anything extravagant, just a nice car that didn't scream "I'm rich." But it was clearly not cheap either. "So where are we going?" I asked, trying to sound casual as I fastened my seatbelt. "I know a quiet little Italian place, cozy with excellent food. You'll love it," he said as we pulled out of my apartment complex. The restaurant was exactly as he had described it. Cozy and tucked away on a side street I'd passed 1,000 times but never noticed. We had a table in a corner at the back. The dim lighting and quiet atmosphere made it perfect for good conversation. When it came time to order, Logan put the menus aside. "Let's go with the chef's specials. Trust me. Look who's the adventurer," I joked. He chuckled softly. Life's too short to eat boring. Dinner started with light conversation, work, the weather, trivial things. But as the dishes kept coming and the wine flowed, the talk became deeper. "So Erica, tell me something," Logan said, leaning towards me with genuine curiosity. "What's it like managing a whole hotel by yourself? Seems like a tough job." "It's hectic, chaotic," I admitted. "It's not just about managing bookings or dealing with complaints, it's about managing people, their needs, their problems. Some days I feel more like a therapist than a manager," I said as I twirled my pasta. Logan nodded as he sipped his wine. "Sounds intense. Must feel good though, knowing it all works because of you." "It does," I replied. "But enough about me, what about you? This traveling and investing in cryptocurrency sounds risky." He laughed, a warm, deep laugh. "It's a calculated risk, Erica. But yeah, it's a gamble. I've won some, lost some, but overall I'm ahead. It's about knowing when to hold on and when to let go." I raised an eyebrow. "Sounds like you're talking about more than just money." "Maybe," he replied as his eyes met mine. It was a moment that seemed longer than usual, but then he changed the subject. What about your family, Erica? Anyone besides your sisters? The question caught me off guard. Family isn't a topic I usually touch on. It's just Kate and me. My parents died in a car accident when I was 23. I had to grow up fast and take care of Kate. She's all I have. Logan's face softened. That's a lot of responsibility to take on. You're strong, Erica. Not everyone could handle that. The conversation flowed easily after that. Logan opened up about his family, telling me about the tensions, the high expectations, and why he preferred to be on the road. It's simpler this way, less drama, he said. We finished dinner laughing as we shared dessert. The initial awkwardness had disappeared. On the way back home, the city lights blurred, casting flickering shadows in the car. I really enjoyed tonight, he said as he parked in front of my apartment. It felt real. Me too, Logan. It was nice just talking, without pretending, I replied. He smiled, a slow, relaxed smile that lit up his whole face. Exactly. So, how about we do this again on Sunday? I didn't even hesitate. Yes, I'd love to. I got out of the car, and as I walked towards my apartment, I realized I was smiling too. It felt good, natural, like maybe I was stepping into something special. But I pushed the thought aside as I went upstairs. The night still felt young, and my heart was a little lighter than before. The weeks passed like cars on a highway, fast and unyielding. Before I knew it, Logan and I weren't just dating, we were engaged. Engaged. It sounded crazy, but it felt right. When you're on cloud nine, you don't realize how fast everything is moving. Not long after Logan proposed, he moved into my apartment. One night, as we were relaxing on the couch surrounded by takeout Chinese food containers, he brought up the wedding. Erica, I've been thinking we should do something big for our wedding. You deserve a day as beautiful as you are, Logan said with that seriousness that always characterized him. I laughed so hard I almost choked on a piece of fried rice. Big, huh? What are we talking about? Because my idea of big is adding an extra scoop of ice cream to my sundae. But Logan wasn't kidding. No, seriously, I mean a real celebration, something unforgettable. Look, here's the plan. You put in 70,000 pesos for the wedding, and I'll cover the rest of the expenses. We'll stay at the most luxurious hotel in the world during our honeymoon. And after that, I'll buy a house for us, a place to start our life together. It sounded like a dream, and even though it was a lot of money, I didn't hesitate. I was completely in love, lost in the magic of it all. Okay, let's do it, I replied without much thought. And so, I agreed to empty my savings for one spectacular day. The planning started fast. I handed over my savings and Logan took care of everything. It's going to be extravagant, Erica. It's going to be perfect, just wait, he promised me one afternoon. One day, I introduced Logan to my sister, Kate. We met at the local diner where she worked. Logan turned on his charm immediately. So, this is the famous sister, he said with a smile that could convince anyone. I've heard that a lot, Kate said, blushing and fiddling with her apron. Well, you're just as beautiful as Erica. Thanks. Erica has told me a lot about you too. All good things, of course, Logan added. I watched them, feeling a strange mix of pride and something else, nervousness? Jealousy? I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Kate and I were very close, but seeing her laugh at Logan's jokes tied a knot in my stomach. Hey, I'm going to get us some coffee. Be right back, Logan said, getting up and leaving Kate and me alone at the table. You like him? Kate asked, nudging me and lowering her voice. Yeah, it's all happening so fast, but it feels right, I admitted, trying to convince myself as much as her. The rest of our visit was light and cheerful, but Logan's words about the wedding and his compliment to Kate kept replaying in my mind. The weeks leading up to the wedding were a whirlwind of activity. Choosing colors, tasting cakes, and dealing with endless to-do lists. Logan threw himself into the planning with so much energy it was sweet, though honestly a bit overwhelming. As the big day approached, I felt excited but also somewhat anxious. Not about marrying Logan, but about making sure everything was perfect. One sunny afternoon, I was standing on a pedestal inside a bridal boutique, surrounded by mirrors. The shop assistant was adjusting the train of a dress I was trying on. The dress was beautiful, no doubt, but I wasn't sure if it was the one. You look stunning, Erica. This has to be the dress, my best friend, Sophie, said enthusiastically from her seat in the corner of the fitting room. I turned slightly, observing the details of the lace in the mirror. I don't know. Maybe it's too much. I don't want to look like a giant meringue, I said, staring at my reflection in the mirror. Just then I heard a laugh from the fitting room next to mine.
A familiar laugh.
I peeked through the curtain and there she was. Kate, standing on a pedestal in a wedding dress. She looked like a bride. Kate? What the hell are you doing in a wedding dress? I stammered, completely confused and taken aback. She spun around, eyes wide at seeing me. Oh, Erica, it's not what it looks like. I was just trying it on for fun. You know, to see what it feels like. For fun. I repeated, trying to process what was happening. Yeah, just a little pretend. I mean, when else am I going to wear something like this? She said, laughing. But there was something off about her laugh. She didn't meet my eyes. We left the boutique without deciding on my dress, but the image of Kate in that wedding gown stuck in my mind. It followed me all the way home and during dinner. Logan noticed my mood. Something on your mind, love? He asked, passing me the salt. I shook my head, toying with my food. It's nothing. Just nerves, I guess. Later, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the memory of Kate in that dress wouldn't leave me alone. Her excuse that she was just doing it for fun didn't feel right. It was like a puzzle piece that wouldn't fit, no matter how much I tried to make it make sense. But what could I do? Accuse my sister of something just based on a gut feeling? The next day, I decided to stop by the diner where Kate worked. She was wiping down tables, her back to me. Something about her posture made me pause for a moment. I walked towards her casually. Hey, I said, trying to keep my voice light. She turned around, and her smile was bright and cheerful as always. Erica, what brings you here? More wedding planning chaos. Something like that, I replied, leaning on the counter. Actually, I wanted to ask you about the wedding dress thing yesterday. Was it really just for fun? Her smile faltered for a split second before quickly recovering. Yeah, of course. What else would it be? I studied her face, searching for the younger sister I thought I knew. Just to be sure, tell me. There isn't anything else, right? Of course not, she said, but her answer came too quickly, almost rehearsed. Don't worry, Erica. I'm happy for you. Really. As I left the diner, a heavy feeling settled in my chest. Something wasn't right, I knew it. But investigating something that could shatter everything so close to my wedding felt too risky. I was ready to face the truth. Not yet. The next morning was chaotic as always. Logan rushed out for his meetings, but today he left something behind. His phone. It was vibrating incessantly on the kitchen table, illuminating it. Odd for someone so tech-savvy. But Logan always said he had nothing to hide. The screen lit up with a message from a number I didn't have saved, but it was all too familiar. Can't wait to see you later. Yesterday was amazing. My stomach dropped. Then came a reply from Logan. Hate hiding like this, but soon we won't have to. My hand started to tremble. This couldn't be real. There had to be an explanation. I scrolled through the messages below, each one feeling like a dagger to the chest. The pet names, the secret plans, the inside jokes. And then I saw it. A selfie of Logan and Kate, my own sister, sitting together at a cafe I'd been to countless times with both of them. They looked so happy, laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. I kept scrolling, gripping the phone tightly, and that's when I saw the truth. Kate was pregnant with Logan's child. They were conspiring to kick me out of my own wedding. She was going to take my place at the altar. Their words were like venom. They mocked me, called me foolish, a naive cash cow. They laughed about how they'd use my money to fund their wedding. The betrayal twisted my insides like a knife. After everything I'd done for them, this is how they repaid me. My heart sank as the weight of their deceit crashed down on me. After everything I had done for Kate since our parents died, this was how she repaid me. Anger simmered inside me, but I quelled it. Control. Vengeance gleamed in my mind, sharp and clear. But I knew I had to stay calm and in control. I wiped away the tears, took a deep breath, and studied myself in the mirror. When Logan returned to the apartment an hour later, I was ready, phone in hand and a smile plastered on my face. Played my part. Oh, you forgot this, I said, holding up his phone as if it were any other normal morning. Logan looked relieved as he took it from my hand. Thanks, babe. I thought I lost it for good. he said, trying to joke, but his laugh held a nervous edge. You didn't notice it, right? I replied lightly. Why would I? Trust is key, right? Right, Logan echoed, his eyes flickering with something guilt. He kissed my forehead, a gesture that felt hollow. See you tonight. Love you. Love you too, I replied, forcing the words out, even though they tasted bitter. As soon as the door closed behind him, my smile crumbled. I let the performance drop. But not my resolve. They thought they could deceive me, use me, and then cast me aside. I wasn't going to return their betrayal. They wouldn't see it coming. The wedding day arrived bright and sunny, like something out of a fairy tale. But this wasn't a happy story. It was dark. As I stood next to Logan, in my impeccable wedding dress, the guests all whispered about how perfect we looked together. None of them knew what was about to happen. Just as we were about to exchange vows, a commotion at the back of the room caused everyone to turn. There she was. Kate, my sister, in a wedding dress, looking breathless like she'd run all the way. The way she didn't stop to explain or apologize. She just pushed her way through the crowd and made a beeline for us. Sorry I'm late, she said, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. But I couldn't let this happen without telling them the truth. I deserve to be here more than her, Kate announced, staring directly at me. Then she turned to Logan, her eyes shining with a kind of desperate triumph. Tell them, Logan. Tell her about us, and the baby. Logan chuckled, the sound echoing mockingly through the now silent room. He looked at me with a cruel smile. Thanks, Erica, for organizing such a beautiful wedding. It's everything we wanted, he said. The guests gasped, their shocked whispers quickly turning into a loud murmur of disbelief. I held my smile calm and steady. I stepped back gracefully. Oh, I don't mind being a guest at the show, I said in an even tone. Logan and Kate exchanged confused glances, clearly baffled by my reaction. Their moment of triumph didn't last long, however. The door burst open, and an older woman stormed in, eyes blazing with fury. She marched straight down the aisle, her voice cutting through the room. I hope you're enjoying your wedding, you lying cheating, she yelled, pointing at Logan. Logan's face clouded, and his eyes widened. King? What are you doing here? He asked. I'm his wife, that's what, Kim declared, turning to the stunned crowd. And the mother of his daughter, whom he hasn't supported in months. Kate stumbled back, her face pale as her dream wedding crumbled before her eyes. She looked at me and then at Logan, her expression breaking in despair. I stepped forward, my voice loud and clear so everyone could hear. I hired a private investigator when I started to suspect something was wrong. Turns out our dear groom here isn't just a cheater, he's a con artist. His supposed investments tanked, his debt skyrocketed, and yes, he's still married with a child he's been neglecting, I said, and the room fell into a heavy silence, broken only by Kim's angry sobs and Kate's soft whimpers. Logan tried to speak, his mouth opening and closing, but the disgusted stares of the guests and the raw betrayal in Kate's eyes left him stumbling over his words. I turned to the crowd, my voice firm despite the chaos. I loved him, I trusted him, I was a fool. But today, I'm taking back control of my life. This wedding, this mess, it's all his fault. Let him face the consequences. After the chaos exploded, Kim, the furious wife, demanded answers. Guests shouted questions, and Kate sobbed as the full weight of Logan's betrayal hit her. The wedding day disaster was bad enough, but the surprises didn't end there. Right after Kim exposed Logan's lies, another couple stormed in, Logan's parents. They looked as if they'd been hit by a storm of disappointment. The room went silent as Logan's father stepped forward, his voice booming with anger that reverberated through the walls. I just learned about the disgusting things my son has done, he said, his words laced with disdain. Not only has he cheated on Erica, trying to humiliate her in front of all of us, but he's been hiding his marriage to Kim, whom he abandoned. Logan tried to speak, his voice barely above a whisper. Dad, that's enough, he said. His father cut him off. You've shamed us more than we could have ever imagined. Your mother and I cannot believe the son we raised could stoop so low. His disappointment was written all over his face, deeper than his words. Logan's mother, a stern woman who had been silently observing the chaos, finally spoke, her voice cold and sharp. We're ashamed of you, Logan. As of today, you're no longer part of this family or our will. You've shown your true self, and we want nothing to do with your deceit." The room buzzed with whispers as the guests tried to piece together the wreckage. Meanwhile, Logan stood frozen, pale and shrinking under the weight of it all. His charm was gone, replaced by the reality of his actions. The next day I met with a lawyer. I filed a lawsuit to recover the 70,000 pesos I had invested in what was supposed to be our wedding. With the evidence I had, the court quickly saw through Logan's lies and ruled in my favor. He was ordered to pay back every penny. But that wasn't the end of his troubles. Kim wasn't about to let him off easy either. She filed her own suit, demanding not only the return of her investments but also child support for her daughter, whom Logan had barely acknowledged. She was determined to make him pay for all the pain and abandonment he had caused. The last I heard of Kim, she was on a mission to hold Logan accountable for everything he'd done wrong. Watching him crumble under the weight of his own lies and face the consequences of his actions gave me a bittersweet sense of closure. I'd lost 70,000 pesos, but getting it back felt like regaining my dignity and a sense of control over my life. After the chaos of what was supposed to be my wedding day, my life settled into a quiet routine much faster than I expected. Logan, my ex-fiancé, left town right after the disaster ceremony and legal fallout, leaving behind broken promises and my sister, Kate, very pregnant and very alone. The days turned into weeks, and I threw myself into hobbies and time with friends like Sophie. Slowly, I found a sense of peace that had been missing during my whirlwind engagement with Logan. Long afternoon walks and Sunday night outings began to rebuild my life. One chilly afternoon, as I sketched the bare trees against a winter sky in the park, my phone vibrated. It was Kate. I tried to reach out to her several times since everything happened, but she hadn't been ready to talk. This time wasn't much different, but I answered anyway, more out of reflex than desire. "Erica, can we talk?" Kate's voice was soft, almost a whisper, and I could hear the tension in it. "I'm listening," I said, keeping my tone neutral as my fingers tightened around my sketchbook. "I know I messed up more than messed up. Sorry doesn't even cut it, but I am sorry. So sorry, Erica. I need help," she admitted, her voice cracking with emotion. "You're not the first person to go through this, and you won't be the last," I replied, surprised by the coolness in my own voice. "You'll figure it out, Kate. You have to." There was a heavy pause, filled with unspoken words and emotions that might never fully heal. "If that's how you feel, I understand," she said quietly. "I hope someday you can forgive me." As I picked up my sketchbook and focused on the stark lines of the winter trees, I realized that moving on wasn't just about keeping busy. It was also about facing the hard truths of betrayal and learning to trust myself again. Life moved forward. Coffee dates with Sophie became a space to talk about anything but Logan and Kate. Pottery classes let my hands mold new creations, symbols of new beginnings. Quiet evenings at home brought peace and a deeper connection with myself. Despite everything, I'd rebuilt a life that was truly mine, one no longer shadowed by the lies of those I once trusted.